All right, item 10, conduct of business. We're going to conduct a study session to review the fiscal year 2013-2018 capital improvement program and fiscal year 2013-14 capital improvements program budget.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, thank you for taking us up on our request to convert your regular City Council meeting to a study session format. We encourage you to sit down on the ground in this format in order to, we hope, encourage your discussion. You have in front of you tonight the important topic of a review. No action is proposed tonight, but your review of the capital improvement program for fiscal years 13 through 18 and the capital improvement program budget for the one-year fiscal 13-14, the current fiscal year. You have the budget previously distributed in front of you tonight, and you'll note that, as has been the case in the past, the program is divided into topic areas and a variety of different projects. I believe approximately 70 projects in total are identified in the budget for your consideration. In order to make efficient use of your time tonight and to focus on some of the issues that we consider to be most noteworthy, our presentation tonight will provide a high-level overview of the types of projects that are envisioned for completion in each of the section areas, for example, within the wastewater enterprise, within the water enterprise, within the parks and facilities category. And we have assembled, actually, as I look around the room, a fairly large group of staff who will be presenting to you a few selected projects with a little bit more detail to give you some information about some of the project areas that will be important in the coming year's work program. It's not our intent to try and prioritize projects in this manner, but simply to give you a little bit of a snapshot, to whet your appetite, if you will, to some of the things that are in the budget document that you have in front of you. And as always, we are interested and eager to take your questions and to encourage your discussion. As I mentioned, the budget is not presented tonight for your consideration of approval. Depending on the pace and your appetite for consideration of the budget for approval, we would bring that back at either your next meeting or a subsequent meeting, depending on how much of the review we're actually able to complete tonight. So I would encourage you to ask questions or to ask for any information that would be useful to your understanding about any of the projects. We'll briefly review projects that have been completed during the previous year and have been eliminated from the budget because they're completed. And we will also identify in a quick list format those projects that are newly added to this budget that have not been previously included in our capital improvement program. One of the other things that we're going to do tonight is to provide you with a quick update review of now that we have completed one complete year of collection of water and wastewater rates under the new 5-year rate program that was put into effect by the City Council in spring of 2012, effective July of 2012. The Council will certainly recall that at the time of the rate program approval, you asked that we provide you an update at the earliest possible time about revenues and expenditures in the enterprises so that you could consider how the rate increase program comports with the necessary expenditures that are being made through the enterprise, both in the operating fund as well as in the capital fund program. So we'll be providing you that first snapshot update tonight now that we have completed one full year of revenue collection under the new rate program. Again, staff stands ready to answer your questions or provide any additional information that you may want. I'm going to ask our Finance Director, Kim Giron, to give a quick overview of some of the high-level topic areas and also the financial perspective. And then we'll work through the book with presentations by a number of different staff on some of the selected projects.
So just very quickly, the slides behind me just walk through a list of the completed projects during the course of the past fiscal year. I won't name them off. I know everybody has handouts that walk through those. We also have a slide that just highlights the CIP projects in progress already. Many of these projects have already had City Council action as of recent for award of contracts for design or construction. So just a handful of those are up on the slide behind me. And then finally, just moving to highlight the new projects in the budget, you will see that there are quite a few new projects. And when I say new projects, those are projects appearing for the first time in the 5-year work program. Not all of these projects are requesting funding in the current year, but are appearing for the first time in the 5-year work program. And so some of these will be highlighted later on this evening. So moving into the finances, I'm just going to provide a quick overview of the financial information. The 5-year work program identifies 57 projects for a total of $159 million in necessary capital improvements to city facilities and infrastructure. Of this amount, $93 million of it is to fund critical system improvements to the city's water and wastewater systems, and another $16 million is dedicated to the Crestmore Neighborhood Reconstruction Project. The 2013-14 Capital Improvement Program budget totals $50 million, with $24 million in carryover appropriations and $26 million in new funding requests. For the new funding requests, there are several significant high-dollar projects that are included in this amount, which include the Advanced Water Meter Infrastructure Project at a cost of $5.1 million, the Crestmore Neighborhood Reconstruction Project at $12 million for the current year, and construction of the College Water Pump Station at $3.4 million, Olympic Sewer Pump Station at $3 million, and the replacement of Well 15 at $3 million as well. These 5 projects account for more than half of the 2013-14 budget request amount. Just to provide a quick overview of funding sources, if you look at page 14 of the proposed CIP budget, you will find a summary of the sources of funding for the CIP program. It lists a total of 36 different funding sources, which are incorporated into the work program. Many of these funding sources are restricted funds, including enterprise revenues, grants, and transportation funding. That said, a significant portion of the proposed work program has no dedicated funding source and instead requires the use of some of the city's undesignated funding sources. This includes the use of the General Fund Equipment Reserve at an amount of $470,000, the Building and Facilities Fund at an amount of $136,000, the One-Time Revenue Fund at $859,000, and the Technology Fund at $40,000. I would just note that the one-time revenue fund, that staff is anticipating that there will be sufficient one-time revenues during the course of the current fiscal year to fund the proposed projects and this dollar amount. Even with the proposed use of these unrestricted funding sources, at the amount shown, the city's reserve funds will remain funded at the levels as determined by the City Council with the adoption of the reserve policy in January 2013. That includes that $5 million Capital Improvement Program Reserve Fund, which is not proposed for use in this current CIP program budget, to allow further discussion by the City Council for the appropriate use of those funds. So those funds are not being programmed into this budget this evening. The $5 million does remain in that fund. However, we've identified different funding sources for the proposed budget. So that said, we're going to move into the first section of the budget this evening, which is the Technology Capital Improvement Program. and this includes projects to upgrade and improve the city's technology infrastructure. As you will hear this evening from the individual project presentations, there are some recurring themes that emerge when discussing these technology initiatives. One of those themes is increased efficiency, which efficiency allows us to do more, but not necessarily always with less. What we find with efficiency is that sometimes technology makes us more efficient on the surface, but behind the scenes, there's additional work that is required. So there's a give and take on that one. However, on the surface, all of these items do help improve efficiency. It also allows this to the ability to improve services to the public and information available to the public through the use of technology. Technology also allows us to centralize information in one place where all departments and the public are accessing the same information from the same source. And the investment in technology has somewhat become a mandate for all businesses. People expect to be able to access services and conduct routine city business from their computer at home or from their mobile device. And so many of these upgrades that are proposed this evening will move the city in the direction to enabling that type of business to be conducted. So that said, I will hand it over to Eric Jackson, our IT manager, to give an overview of the first project.
Thank you, Kim. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. I will present two of the technology capital programs tonight, the first being our Geographic Information System, or GIS, upgrade. So GIS is actually information, and within the GIS world, they call it assets. So over 5 years ago, the city's digital information was spread out, it was duplicated in many areas, and not efficiently shared. And to tackle this problem, the city laid out the groundwork or the foundation for a full GIS system. And in 2011, a central location for all of the digital information was created. So with this proposed project, the city has the opportunity to expand the system and to provide the public with new opportunities to use this information or our assets that we've collected and centralized. So again, what are exactly our assets? It's more than a bunch of photos taken from outer space and a collection of maps. Assets can actually be physical or they can be soft assets. A couple of examples I could give you to make it easier to understand how the assets work together would be maybe in honor of Arbor Day, a city-owned tree. That's considered a hard asset. A soft asset would be a pruning history of that tree, sidewalk repair, age, or the health of that tree. Those are soft assets. They're all interrelated. Another example would be a water meter. A hard asset is a physical asset, but the soft asset could be the water meter location, usage history, maintenance history, customer information, and customer billing information. Again, all interrelated. I'll give one more example, maybe a city facility. A specific example would be a recreation rental location. That would be the physical asset, but the soft asset could be the hours of operation. It could be a Google View map or view or virtual tour of that location. So there are different types of assets, hard, there are soft assets, but they all are interrelated. Basically, anything that you can digitize, any type of information would be considered an asset. So the proposed upgrade would give us, again, the opportunity to provide the following to the public. One of the issues that we have now, or maybe not an issue but a concern, is we don't have an efficient way for the public to submit online forms. We do have online forms, but most of the forms you can fill them out online, but you have to print them out and fax them in or bring them into City Hall. This upgrade would create a full citizen request form, for instance, graffiti, it could be potholes or tree pruning, that they can fill out and submit online. To assist with the public with these forms, they can go to the portal on the website, which we'll discuss later, and find the location of the graffiti or the pothole on a map, click on that map, and then submit a form that way. Saves time, it's easy for the public to do this, and it's not very difficult to implement this in our first phase of the project. Another concern that we have, and GIS will address, is the fact that there are no emergency shelter locations, flood or earthquake zone information, or street maps readily available to the public in the event of a disaster or a city emergency. Nor do we have the capability to implement group alerts via email or phone to specific areas of the city in the event of an emergency or shelter-in-place order. So the project plan is to have a section of the website with information links and interactive maps, to this information to support and support staff. And support staff will have easy-to-use tools to add information during an emergency. One of the issues we faced was getting information to the website on a timely basis during the Glenview disaster, and we want to address these concerns and issues with this project. Another area of concern would be access to public events. Various types of information can be submitted to the city, and we can upload this information to the GIS system for public access. An example could be such as what South San Francisco has, a citywide yearly garage sale. We can upload information, this type of information, to our website for public access, and they can download information to where the different garage sales are. Another example would be tonight, the Beautification Awards. We could have links to the different homes with photographs to show the different award winners and what they've actually done with the property to get the award. Another example could be the use of GIS for public works construction projects. If there's going to be a street closure or any type of issue that might affect the public, that could be readily available on the website, and alert them to any issues that might be occurring. And again, I mentioned earlier virtual tours. We know that in recreation on the website, it's a great website, but they have more of a description for the rental facilities. Using free tools from Google, they could click on the facility, they can see an actual view of the picnic ground, the hall, or anything that's going to be rented, and they can make a better determination if that's going to suit their needs. Also, there's no portal or no information for the public in terms of APN or parcel or property information. That's something we can implement very easily, very quickly for the public. And one other example I could give would be the existing restaurant guide that we have on the website. It's not interactive. We can use GIS to make that interactive. You can click on the actual business. You can go to their website. We can link it in very different ways. Again, these are things that can enhance the public access to city information. But not only for the public, but the staff will reap some of the benefits, or many of the benefits, for GIS. One thing that we've noticed is that when we obtain information from staff obtains information, it's done in a variety of ways. It could be handwritten, it could be on a tablet, it could be written on a spreadsheet, and a lot of times this information must be inputted into GIS. So we want to enable field personnel to input data directly into GIS and bypass all the other methods and save time. One other benefit to staff, and it goes back to the Glenview incident, is that the ability to print maps. We had a difficult time printing maps during that time. We will roll out very simple to use tools so that all staff will be able to print data or information or maps or reports or charts from the data that we have in GIS. Again, GIS can be very cumbersome, and we want to install those tools to make it easy for all staff to access information if they have the proper permissions and use the data, not just a select few of people. So again, these are just a few of the opportunities that are available with the upgrade. And many of these opportunities mentioned will rely on the website upgrade, which I'll speak about next. And also you can see this is going to be a multi-year commitment, not only in resources, but also in funding. But it takes time to get where we need to go, and we have so much information that we can digitize, we can make available to the public. It's going to be an ongoing project, and hopefully a very rewarding one for the city. Thank you.
Any questions?
Is all this information going to be able to be friendly on this also?
Yes. Yes.
Anything else? Thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you. Okay, I'll move on to the next up, the second project, which is the website upgrade. So this site will upgrade the city's official website, sanbruno.ca.gov. We rolled this website out in 1998, believe it or not, and our last upgrade was in 2008, and that was more of a facelift. And since that time, websites have transitioned themselves to more of just an information tool, to a critical customer service tool that enables visitors to access city services and conduct business. So the project would upgrade and enhance the website to, as I mentioned here, a business and information center. That pretty much says it all. So by doing that, we wish to address a few concerns or issues we have with the existing website, public-facing, and that is to improve our e-commerce capabilities. Right now, we have a limited capability for online payments, building permit applications, event registration, and so forth. So we want to, again, enhance our e-commerce so they can do all those services one stop. And again, not fill out the form online, print it out, walk it into City Hall. We want it to be a virtual City Hall as much as possible, and we can do that with the technology that we have. More fillable forms online. A lot of information we have are static. They're not fillable. They're documents that are not, don't have forms that you can actually fill out. So we want to add more forms so that the public can have everything they need, all the tools they need, all the forms necessary to, again, make this more of a service website instead of just an informational website. One category that we wanted to really enhance would be just the public access to the site. One issue that's coming up is the ADA, Section 508, the American Disabilities Act. There are so many requirements now for websites, and we are pretty far behind at this point. We need to make sure that our website is ADA compliant and accessible to anyone with disabilities. That's one of the major concerns that we have now. Navigation can also be a problem, difficult to find things. With optimized search engine capabilities, we want to make sure that if you search a word, certain word, it's going to find it on our website and not take you to some other website. It's going to be specific to the San Bruno website. Functionality, smartphones, tablets. As you know, when you go to some websites on your tablet or your smartphone, you can barely see it. We need to optimize the website. We will optimize the website if this project is approved for smartphones and tablets, all mobile devices. The city calendar, while it gives you information, you can't search. Every once in a while, it's difficult to find a certain type of meeting. That's something else that we have to address. And also, social media integration. Although we have a few department Facebook accounts, we have no active official City of San Bruno media page. That's something we want to address. Additional features we want to implement, and this is more tailored to the staff, is roll out an intranet, which will encompass information that city employees would like to get. Sometimes they have to wait until the City Hall is open. We want to make sure the information is available 24/7 for those who work different shifts, fire, public safety, police, those different employees. So in the funding, last year we did fund, or we did budget $30,000 in research of what other municipalities have paid. We did have to increase the funding to reach the service levels that we want and that are required, that the public probably expects of us. Closing with this project, we do have the opportunity to greatly enhance our public service by providing these new online resources and services. So that's the website upgrade project plan, and I'll take any questions if you have them.
Will you be going through some stages as far as how you're going to enhance, and so we can see the progression of that? Or are you
Right.
just going to unveil it?
No, it won't be done in a vacuum. We plan to reactivate the web subcommittee and hopefully have different members of maybe the council and department heads on that. And we've also considered having a member of the public on that committee to make sure we are addressing all different types of service levels.
Okay, yeah, because I saw your multimedia capabilities box there, and I go, we need change pictures, we need to be able to show videos and things, and be able to click here and there as soon as, that page comes up. So I'm hoping we're going in that direction.
We are, and in this plan, I built in a little bit of capacity, even before the project is approved, sorry. We upgraded our firewall, and I got a firewall that could handle increased bandwidth and dedicated bandwidth to the website.
Great, thank you.
Through the chair. I would encourage as far as the website residents, because I think you'll get a different perspective and insight from those looking at it from outside in and navigating. So I would encourage that when that group meets. It's in here as far as a CMMS system within part of this, and I know it goes into other departments, so I'll save that for when it comes up on another department, but thank you.
Through the
Okay,
chair.
thank you.
Michael? Just one comment, both on the website project and the GIS project. I think the capabilities that you're proposing are definitely favorable and will be an asset to the city, but I'm also concerned about the amount of training and the availability of personnel to maintain these things, especially when you start talking about having these social media outlets activated through the web. It does require a lot of interaction, a lot of human interaction to keep those things current, or they become obsolete. And so as we think this through, I think we need to also consider what the operational cost is going to be ongoing for the personnel and the training up front to make sure that people know how to do it, know what's appropriate to post, and are available to post that on a regular basis so that it stays meaningful.
Right, I agree. That would be part of our content management section of the website development. Who's in charge of what can be posted. It will take some additional resources. In terms of updating the website, once we get the website up and running, we will probably update the way we're doing that now, which there's a representative in each department, a web committee member that does the updates. And then Information Technology Division, we upload the final copy to the main site. And GIS, the same concern or the same, we have factored in, and again, it's a multi-year project. We factored in data development cost into that, training cost also. And again, one of the tools we want to use with the GIS is a tool that, again, will make it easy for staff to access and enter information. So those costs were factored in. Okay. Thank you.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. The department maintains all data related to police services in San Bruno in a records management database. Information contained in this system is also sent electronically to officers in the field via the department's computer automated dispatch. These two systems are linked to one another, and they also connect to criminal justice databases that we use to provide law enforcement service to the community. Our current system is 13 years old. It has limited search and data entry capability, and this requires a significant amount of staff time to provide data entry into this system. Additionally, this system is reaching the end of its storage capacity. The department is proposing replacement of the existing CAD, or Computer Automated Dispatch, and RMS, Records Management System, with a different software vendor, Sunridge RIMS, in order to take advantage of the latest advances in technology. This is also significant for us because we're only one of 6 agencies in San Mateo County that doesn't have this system. All other agencies in San Mateo County utilize RIMS. There are certain advantages to that, and the main one is the systems talk to one another. So we can search crime analysis, we can search a suspect vehicle in a robbery against all other databases in San Mateo County. Additionally, the district attorney's offices go into this system. Right now, we physically hand carry each police report to the DA's office once a day during the weekday. If the DA's office goes to RIMS, which they've announced their intent to do so, agencies would be able to send this data electronically, thereby saving staff time. The RIMS product provides electronic report writing software. Right now, our officers write the reports in the computers, they print the report, they hand it to the supervisor approves it, and then it's manually entered into the database by records clerks. RIMS product, when the officers writes the report, it automatically populates the field and streamlines police operations. This will free up our staff to do and provide other services for the community. Another real exciting component of the RIMS product is it has a crime reporting tool. So the public can access a database, and the public can find out what's going on in terms of crime or police activity in their neighborhood. So essentially going to the RIMS product is one out of necessity because San Mateo County and the compatibility of all San Mateo County law enforcement agencies is significant. It also makes us more efficient, and it also provides and gives the public greater access to what's going on in their neighborhood. So essentially, that's a brief overview of the product and our request, and I'll be more than happy to take any questions that you have.
Questions of the chief?
I just have a, thank you. I just have a question. How soon are we going to be able to put this in?
So we can, because several agencies are looking at RIMS, it may take up to 6 months. It could potentially go to a year, but the sooner we can get that through, the sooner we could go on.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Anything else? All right.
Thank you.
Honorable Mayor, Council members, good evening. Eric Jackson and the chief already expanded in lots of details. What is the advantage of centralized information and information management? I will just spend some time on computerized maintenance management system, and in addition to those advantages provided by the GIS and the data management system, what this specific computerized maintenance system provides. This system provides pre-planned maintenance activities based on pre-established condition of the system. Back in 2000, based on your approval in early 2008, the city started to implement the CMMS system first for our sewer system. Until now, the city spent a total of around $251,000 for the implementation of the system. Right now, the system is up and operates fully in our sewer division. What exactly the city achieved with this investment of up to $251,000, which includes one-time investment and also ongoing operational and maintenance investment in our operating budget since then for licensing and data fees. Right now, our sewer division is able to pre-plan all of the needed maintenance activities based on the condition assessment of each section of the system. Our sewer system has up to 1,900 elements, and just was finished our video inspection for the whole system. Based on the result of that video inspection of each section of mains, then a decision is made how often that section has to be cleaned. And this system will generate work orders on a timely manner, telling the division which section when they need to clean. Also, I asked today our sewer service manager how you would describe what this investment really provides the city, what the sewer division was able to prevent to happen. And his answer was that in the last few months, if I would not have had this work order generated by this pre-programmed software, I would have had at least 10 more sewer overflow. Specifically, he called out at the intersection of El Camino and San Mateo and on Trenton area that when, based on the cycle of maintenance, they went back to clean that specific line, they realized how close that section was to really overflow. That was exactly the right timing for them to go back to clean that line, preventing a possible SSO. That was the only way how the city was able to reduce so substantially our number of SSO in the last few years, really utilizing the capability and the help of this support. No human brain would have been able to really retain all of the information and just to pre-program on daily basis exactly which section of your system needs now to be cleaned. And of course, this really captured the institutional knowledge of everybody and passed the knowledge from generation to generation in our department. In 2012, Mainstar is the provider of these services for the CMMS system. Mainstar Mainstar no longer provides support for the existing system. They updated their system to a web-based system, which basically the main difference that you can access the system remotely from any remote location. And if the city is not updating to web-based, they are not longer providing this service. That upgrade of our system to a web-based system is included in our proposed CIP budget. Also, what is included in our CIP budget to expand the application of the maintenance program in water also. Our water system even is more complicated than our sewer system. Our water system is pressurized and also produce water and has much more component and elements than our sewer system. Is in long term, this expansion of this maintenance system really will provide huge benefit, will lower overall cost, will decrease the number of leaks, will minimize the impact on our residents. You can, the city experienced many times damage to properties for both, for sewer and water. This really will prevent many of those property damages. The proposed investment in sewer is $52,000 and in water, including one-time and also training cost and licensing fees is $69,000. If this system will be fully implemented, about $18,000 will be the ongoing cost for each, which will include license fee and data fee for on ongoing basis, and possible any system upgrades which are unknown at this time. I have a very detailed report. I can leave a copy with you, and even now, if you have any more questions, I will be happy to answer.
Any questions for Clara? Ken?
So you mentioned the initial investment. You mentioned $251,000. It shows in the budget roughly $162,000 has been spent. So that was all. I mean, and I see how you've broken it up over the two funds, but all that money, that initial investment was maintained just for wastewater use. Initially, that's what you're using it for now?
Right now, it's used only just for wastewater. Wasn't implemented yet in water, and in long term will be our intent, and that's why it's shown the $45,000 later on for stormwater, and then in 2016-17, then in streets. But right now, it's implemented only just in wastewater.
So I guess I asked the question, why are we waiting a couple more years for stormwater and streets?
Implementation of this program really require a lot of time. And the reason why even in wastewater took this long was that our GIS database had to be updated to that level when this preventive maintenance system can rely on correct information. And this is the main reason why it took us this long to implement fully in wastewater. Water is in a better position that water already has a very well developed, reliable GIS information system for our system, but storm is lagging behind. Our storm system has only just up to about 80% of our system has a GIS database. That would be too early to start to implement this program until you don't have enough reliable information, system information itself, garbage in, garbage out, that you really have to have a very strong database to be able to support this kind of preventive program.
So,
Through Chair. This is one that I've had questions on. This is ones I have had questions on before. Was going to come back up. I haven't seen that detailed informational report. I'd like to see that. I'd like to read it and digest it. You know, this was installed in '09. It's been using since 2010. We're going into 2014. We're talking about one division, and my memory, which is, you know, always correct, but is that when we began this project and this investment, it was for all the divisions. One of my questions back then was, why are we at one division and how come we haven't gone to the others? And until we all get it down in every division, then why do we keep expending more monies, which I keep hearing? So, again, I haven't read that detailed report. I certainly will. I'll go back to my notes. But at this point with the CMMS system, I'm going to repeat what I've said in the past as far as implementation, its costs, its ongoing maintenance, where we are at in the various divisions, because to me, I assumed, maybe wrong, and I can be corrected, is that this would be better along in the various divisions and not just one. So in essence, from the purchase of '09 into almost 2014, we've basically taken one division and pretty well are saying, I believe, is what you're saying, is we have it down. And now we think it's also good to continue that as well as go into the other divisions. And I just am seeing the money, and I'm not seeing the implementation, and I'm not seeing it broad-based through the department.
And Councilmember, you are correct. Was the intent initially to implement across all of the, each division, in essence, managing all of the systems? Our intent was last year to start the implementation of the system in water. Was delayed with 1 year based on further discussion with you pending the approval of your approval for the implementation in water, and also was delayed with 1 year the implementation of the web-based module for the main star system itself. And was a special agreement actually between us and the service provider to maintain our support for 1 more year until the city will be able to purchase and to implement the web update. I just will emphasize that is a requirement in our bykeeper agreement for the city to maintain a CMMS system for our management of our sewer system. For water, the city facing many legal requirements for reporting requirements for state health department, and this is a very helpful tool for the city in long run to meet all of the best management practices and also the different requirements.
Anything else? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I might intercede here for just a moment, I'd like to just give a time check with the City Council and suggest that you may want to check in and see where we are, say in another half hour, and then make a determination about whether you would like to continue through all of the divisions. I have asked each of the staff to try and limit their comments on the individual projects to roughly 2 minutes each, so this is a reminder to everybody. And we will continue to take your questions. We did spend a little bit of extra time on the technology section because this is I'm sure you noticed from previous years, this section is beefed up a little bit with some additional projects and a pretty significant level of expenditure to improve our services, to improve our efficiency, and we wanted to make sure that we gave you the opportunity to understand in a fair amount of detail what we're proposing. Each of these items, again, per our normal practice, will come back to the City Council for actual consideration of the deployment for those individual purchases that are over $25,000. So with that,
Can I just comment on that?
Yes, please.
I think the comments that we've been making here, I think we're very much, I mean, I can't speak for all of us, but the comment that no human brain can take care of all this stuff. And so we've bought into the fact that we need to move forward and enhance and improve our information, our technology information, our technology equipment. But when it gets laid out over a course of X amount of years, we need to understand why it's being spread out. Instead of, if this is such a good, good piece of equipment or a good program, why aren't we just doing it everywhere that we can? And I can understand the comments from the director as far as the priority with wastewater. But I'm also listening to my colleagues saying, a year here, a year there, and all of a sudden we're 3-4 years out of it. I like to think that we haven't lost an investment, that we've paid a chunk of it ahead of time, and now we're just, putting in components, to help the other departments. But I just I think it needs to be left up to us to decide on whether we want to go full force for everything, or you give us the reasons why it, we should, stage it or phase it.
In some cases, so the report that the director indicated should answer many, if not most, of the questions that you might have. So I would, in the interest of time, I would defer to that and to any further conversation that the City Council might like to have. In very general terms, and you'll see that the budget proposes in some cases that the projects are staged over 2 or potentially even 3 years. The investment of time and effort to populate new data systems can be very substantial, so that it's not always the case that the system can simply be plugged in and then made immediately operational. In fact, in most cases, that's not the situation. The City Council has expressed considerations and concerns about the pace and the deployment of the CMMS system previously, and again, we're not attempting to disregard those questions or to take any longer than is desirable or necessary in order to deploy the systems. We'll get you the report, and then certainly we're prepared to have further discussion with the council on those topics. The next section, I believe, in the presentation is Streets Capital. And again, I would encourage a relatively concise presentation on the couple of projects that we've selected.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council members. My name is Yoon Jun Kim. I serve as City Engineer for the Public Services Department. The Streets program's intent is to incorporate all needed surface improvements for transportation and includes safety. 4 projects are under construction, including the grade separation project. 4 projects are under different phases of design and development and include sidewalks, streets, accessibility, and traffic calming. I would like to emphasize 2 projects of very high interest to the Council due to the direct impact it has on the day-to-day quality of life. The first is the streetlight project. Staff received clear direction from Council to improve the city's streetlight system by improving light distribution for safety and convenience, increasing reliability, and reducing monthly electric charges by using modern energy-saving light bulbs. Currently, the city uses high-pressure sodium lights, which is considered outdated. Conversion of these streetlight fixtures to the newer technology would greatly increase visibility and reduce the city's electrical consumption by 50 to 60%, resulting in cost savings of approximately $70,000 to $80,000 per year. There are 2 standard types of modern technology bulbs used in street lighting, LED and induction. These 2 types of bulbs use different technology to produce light but have similar lifespan, light quality, and efficiency ratings. The first step in our project would be to recommend a pilot project to enable you and the community to make a decision to determine which would best meet our needs. The recommendation of the pilot project location was discussed at the Infrastructure Subcommittee meeting a few months ago. After the decision is made, it is the intent to request proposals to implement the project. After approval of a proposal to replace the lights, other than lights that are on the regulated output circuits, the streetlights can be replaced in a few months' time with no initial investment requirement on city's part. As you can see, the LED and induction lighting quality is obviously better than the existing high-pressure sodium lights. The next item...
Mr. Rico, did you have a question?
Yes, Robert Rico, 7th Avenue. I'm concerned a little bit on Cemetery Avenue. Over the last couple of years, I've reported a number of times when the street lights are out, and the information I've been getting back from the city is there's potentially influence by where you're getting the electricity, whether it's from PG&E or who's responsible, but more importantly, some of the same lights, they seem to need to be replaced real soon. In other words, there's one at Angus and San Mateo Avenue on that corner that's probably, it appears to have been out 3 or 4 times within a year's period of time. So I would hope that they would look at maybe the infrastructure behind the lights that may need, not just on San Mateo Avenue, but throughout the city to support going to potentially the latest and better situation. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I will forward the information to our maintenance crew to check it out.
Thank you.
The next item of special interest is the sidewalk program. The objective of this program is to provide a safe, accessible public sidewalk system. This is the last year of the city's current 6-year cycle of sidewalk repairs, which has been focused on repairing sidewalk damages that are the city's responsibility. These damages were identified in a 2007 survey and updated on an ongoing basis through citizen feedback. At the conclusion of the project that's currently underway, the city will have repaired 1,475 sidewalk locations, which includes 140 locations that are responsibility of private property owners through their voluntary participation with our program. However, there are still approximately 2,200 known private property owner responsible deficiencies that are unaddressed. The upcoming program will focus on both private and city responsible repairs in a 5-year cycle. This proposed project includes 2 parallel sub-projects. One will utilize a low-cost method to repair small offsets throughout the entire city, both private and city responsible repairs, and also update our sidewalk survey of existing deficiencies. The costs would be approximately $35 per location. Because the cost is so low on this scale, it is cheaper for the city to perform the work rather than expend efforts to seek reimbursement from private property owners. This would reduce financial burden to property owners, only leaving them responsible for larger repairs that can only be addressed through full removal and replacement of sidewalk. And that goes to the second part of the program, which will address the more extensive sidewalk repairs, 1 neighborhood per zone per year in a 5-year cycle. Starting in the east side of the city, where higher concentrations of damage exist, and working our way towards the west part of the city. The city will actively survey and repair sidewalks in each zone and include repairs outside that year's particular zone in response to citizen complaints and tripping hazard claims as necessary. City will advise property owners of their responsibility and give them the choice to utilize our contractor to perform the repairs or to perform the repairs on their own. Using our contractor would save them in permit costs, cheaper construction due to economies of scale, and avoid the hassles of managing their own contractor. That's, in a nutshell, the proposal for the next 5-year program.
Questions? Thank you.
Before the director and our city engineer leave the dais, this would conclude our overview of the Streets Capital Program, in case you have any questions about that section of the budget. No? Okay.
We're good.
Great. Okay. So moving along to the Parks and Facilities Capital Program. This is an area of particular interest and concern in that the city has a number of critical facilities, and I don't mean only those essential service facilities that house our public safety operations, our fire stations, our police station, but the critical facilities of City Hall, our library, our recreation center, our swimming pool that are essential to the broad range of services that the city provides to its residents. As the City Council is aware, those facilities, for the most part, many of them are relatively old, in some cases deteriorating in some aspects of their serviceability, and many of them in need of frankly, of replacement, but at least moderate to significant repairs and potentially improvements to keep pace with the service needs and interests of our community. This section of the budget does a modest job of identifying those projects and issues that need attention during the next 5-year period. What this budget doesn't do is to address the in a meaningful way, except by information to keep this issue in front of you, does not address with a funding program or a work program schedule the bigger picture issue of long-term replacement of these critical facilities, which is an issue that still needs a comprehensive evaluation and discussion among staff and the City Council. As such, the program is really focused on those areas of repair and maintenance that can be addressed with a reasonable financial expenditure, and those limited areas of improvement which are either absolutely necessary or can be afforded. We're going to focus on a couple of projects tonight, but by no means do I intend to overlook either the issues that I've just identified or the broad number of projects that are envisioned in this budget, primarily to address relatively minor facility maintenance and repair issues, and most particularly a number of roof replacement requirements at some of our facilities, including the Portola Performing Arts Center, as well as, which is newly incorporated in this program, as well as roof replacement at our fire stations. I want to speak briefly on one project that has been identified in our capital improvement program for a few years. I think that the slides behind me are focusing, for refreshing your memory's sake, on some of the various facilities around the community that the city owns and for the most part operates. Most of them are not particularly attractive, but again, this program is intended to the best of our ability, maintain their serviceability so that they can continue to provide the programming and the other services for which they're designated. I wanted to focus for a moment on the City Hall Building and Security Improvement project. This project has been shown in the capital improvement program for the last couple of years, but has not moved forward to an actual construction program, which we propose to do in the coming year. In short, among the city's activities is revenue collection in particularly 3 spots within our city. That is a substantial portion of our service and is a relatively significant amount of transactions and dollar value of transactions that are occurring. Given that we do our business in public facilities, our buildings are open to the public. We encourage the public to access our buildings both to do business with us and to participate in programs. And there can sometimes be a conflict between those public spaces and the necessary security that is both desirable and important for those areas of our buildings where revenues are being collected. We are proposing with this project to provide some improvements to our lobby area of City Hall and ultimately to the lobby area of our recreation center, as well as the lobby area of the cable department building, in order to enhance security and to assure not only that our functions are segregated, our employees and members of the public are safe, but that there is a proper level of safety and security for the revenue transactions that are occurring in those locations. That project is described in a little bit more detail in the budget document that you have in front of you. We have a little more ways to go and further discussion to detail the exact improvements that we're proposing with the City Council. To date, we have conducted a review with professionals in our Public Safety Department in order to evaluate both the risks as well as the desirable improvements, and we have made some initial outreach to local contractors who have the expertise in those types of improvements. So again, we will be back to discuss these items further with the City Council over the next year. The next item that we'd like to discuss briefly with the City Council is the tree management program, which again is an area of significant activity in our community and is a new project this year in the budget.
To the chair, just to go back
Certainly.
before we get off the buildings to the trees. So my understanding is the proposed security enhancements are just that, security enhancements, not remodels to the facility or structure. It just would be a look at security enhancements only to those designated areas that there's interaction with the public and the staff.
The security enhancements that are proposed would be physical improvements, physical changes to the lobby areas where revenue transactions are occurring to separate with security barriers. So it's not a reorganization or a massive remodel, but it is a physical improvement that is proposed.
Just want to get that clarified. And I know you had a picture of Portola Activity Center and Skyline Activity Center.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that was one of my questions in here because I had looked through it before, and then while you were speaking, I was looking through it again. I didn't see it listed. The Portola, yes, but the Skyline Activity Center, and I know that's something that I and others have brought up, knowing the history that used to be utilized for programs, activities, and rentals.
Mm-hmm.
We used to do that.
Yes.
And rent it out, and then we stopped renting it because of some resident complaints on the noise. Then it was utilized for other classes, etc. And then there was some damage to it as far as water, if my memory is correct, and then therefore it's been more or less a storage. So was there something other than that was going to be proposed in this year's budget? And maybe I just overlooked it.
No, thank you very much for the question. You did not find it in there because it's not in there. We did show a picture of the building because we wanted to give you a sort of a perspective of the various city facilities around town. Staff is very much aware of the City Council's interest and concern about that facility. We have conducted a preliminary assessment of its condition and its ability to be transitioned back to some type of active programming use. Our initial conclusion, and the reason that it is not shown as a project in this budget, although we're certainly prepared to come back with a more comprehensive discussion with the City Council, is that our initial evaluation has demonstrated that the building really is in such a serious state of disrepair that there is a substantial investment that would be necessary to return it to a level of serviceability that could actually, so that it could actually accommodate active programming. And that's the reason that this facility is not included in the budget right now, pending further consideration by the City Council as to whether that is the direction that the council would like to know goes. Really a complete rehabilitation, if not a tear down and reconstruction of the building, is really what's warranted.
If I could just clarify on how we go about getting these projects on board and breaking ground and doing this. Is there anything on these smaller types of projects that we can go defer from the normal bidding process and, like the public works projects, and try to infuse the local businesses, and try to get them involved in, hopefully, being able to, contribute to improving, some facilities in our town. I've heard many times that, through the bidding process, we've been hiring businesses that are pretty far from where, from our city limits. And that, if given a chance, that probably, through, pre-qualifying or something that we can, or arrangements, I know we do it for certain companies in this city, that we can have, an ongoing relationship with those types of providers, those types of contractors that can, really, do a world of good in our, on our facilities in our community.
I think I'm hearing two companion issues. One is the opportunity to encourage or forward volunteer or community contribution types of projects. And yes, there are strategies that we can employ that do not require competitive bidding that can allow us to better, some of which we've done with Lions projects, for example, with Beckner Shelter recently and others. And Rotary, thank you very much. So the answer is yes. Where the city is not expending its resources in acting as the doer of the project, there are opportunities for us to engage in community volunteer projects. Second issue that I hear you suggesting is really slightly different, and excuse me if I've misunderstood, is a process by which local contractors might receive some sort of a preference or benefit in a competitive bidding environment. That's a different issue and one that is subject to some limitations under state law, but is also an issue that we have no such preference programs in place in the city of San Bruno. It is something that can or could be considered as part of our normal bidding practices, but again, that would require a little bit more review and further discussion by the City Council.
Trees? Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. Just very briefly, I'd like to highlight a program that the City Council has already made a significant annual investment in through the operating budget, and that's the City Tree Management Program. As the Council will recall, back in August of 2010, we commissioned a study by a certified professional arborist to assess the condition of what I like to refer to as our urban forest, comprised of approximately 7,400 trees in parks, medians, open spaces, facilities, and parking lots. Of those trees, 226 were identified as requiring either significant pruning to reshape or to deal with disease or removal altogether. And although we've had in the annual operating budget for some time now a $25,000 appropriation, we have found over the last few years since the completion of the study that money is only adequate to deal with the annual needs, and that we're really not able to in a material way address this inventory that needs to be attended to. And so what you see before you in the capital budget is a request for a $75,000 appropriation for each year of the 5-year CIP, with the goal of dealing with and addressing each of these trees. Now, the actual cost is a little bit unknown. What we're going to do on an annual basis is get quotes on the most serious trees that either present a risk to the urban forest or to the safety of the community. And the range on those costs is between $1,500 and $4,000, depending on accessibility, the size of the tree, and the attention the tree requires. But we anticipate that the appropriation at a $75,000 level over the 5-year of the CIP potentially will not address all of the 226 trees, but the volume of trees that will be addressed in any given year will increase as we deal with them from the most severe to the lesser severe trees. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions on trees? Rico?
Yeah, I know it's late. So do we have that already? We don't have it determined as far as the worst?
We do.
We do. Okay. So once this comes back up, City Manager, I'd like to have it more addressed as far as how many we're dealing with in an annual basis in the areas in which we're dealing with them. Because obviously through reduction in services over tight, lean budget years, we have reduced the amount that we actually go out to each of the sites, neighborhoods, and do tree trimming. So I'd like to, once we get this, I'd like to look back not only about this, but just the whole program, how we notify, how people in the community can go on this website that Mr. Jackson's speaking of, and look up very quickly on my street, my area, and when the year it is determined. I think it's a shock to folks when they realize whether it's a street or whether it's a tree, how long it's earmarked out for. So I'd like to see that included within the website. I'd like to also revisit that just to have an understanding, since we had those reductions, unfortunately, because of those tough times. I'd like to have that looked at again.
Anything else? It is 9:30, and it looks like we're not going to get through the rest of it this evening, since we have a meeting tomorrow night too, and maybe Saturday. So can we put this off until maybe the next meeting?
The council's pleasure. We can either bring this back at a meeting that you would schedule, or we can bring it back on October 22nd, which is your next regular city council meeting.
Okay. That'd be all right. 22nd.
So we have...
How many more presentations do we have?
We have a short presentation on stormwater, on cable, and then we have the water and wastewater sections, and vehicles.
Mr. Rico?
Can I just ask one question out of your agenda on the parks and facilities? You talk about the downtown marquee sign, that needs some work, and speaking as my position on the board member of the Chamber of Commerce, I think that should get some higher priority, because it's obviously what everybody sees driving up and down El Camino. So I just wanted to throw that out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.